going to make sense of two-step word problems today. Two-step word problems. When we resolve a two-step word problem, we write and evaluate two separate expressions. That is a very important part of what we're going to be learning today. So let's repeat this statement, and would you read it with me, please, as we go? When we resolve a two-step word problem, we write and evaluate two separate expressions. Solving two-step word problems requires us to follow the same pattern we've learned in solving one-step word problems. Let's go ahead and review what those 4 steps are. So step number 1 is to circle the number in the problem. Remember, the numbers may be in word form, and we must dig them out and make sure that we circle all the numbers that are critical to us solving our equation. Step 2 is to underline the question. We won't know what to do if we don't know what the question is. Step 3 is to box the key words. Step 4 is to eliminate what we don't need. Once we have circled and underlined and boxed the information that we need, we can ignore the rest of the information. Now let's try to do one together. Let's take this example. Remember, always, we start with reading the directions. The directions here indicate that we write an equation and solve the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't simply write a number and consider it done. This is to write an equation and then solve the problem. Let's read the word problem first so that we are ready to go. Anita received 3 postcards of zebras and 2 postcards of monkeys each month for 3 months. How many postcards is that? Okay, let's start with our steps. Let me go ahead and open a pen. Let's open red so we can see it clearly. Let's circle our numbers. I see 3 here, and I see a 2 here, and I see a 3 here. And I don't see any numbers in word form, so I think we've got all of our numbers circled. Now our second step is to underline the question. So let's underline. The question is, how many postcards is that? We've done step 1 and step 2, and the third step indicates that we need to box. We need to box all the keywords. So let's look again, and this is when I think it's always important to read through one more time through our word problem and make sure that we understand and have all the keywords boxed. Anita received 3 postcards of zebras and 2 postcards of monkeys each month for 3 months. Well, in this case, I think we have kind of a phrase or 2 keywords together. Let's look at each month, because I think that's kind of critical to what we are doing with this word problem. Anita received 3 postcards of zebras and 2 postcards of monkeys each month for 3 months. I think we've got the key phrase or key words that we need. Let's go ahead. I think we've got all that we need now. Let's go ahead and see if we can create 2 expressions and resolve our and write an equation and solve our problem. Okay, let's begin with, well, let's see, we have to figure out 3 and 2. So I believe we're going to have to begin by adding 3 plus 2 to find out how many postcards each month. Now, because we know the order of operations and we know that we need to begin with this part of our equation, we are going to put this expression in parentheses, because that way we know that this needs to come first. Okay, 3 plus 2. Now, that's how many she received each month, but we know that Anita received them for 3 months. And our question again is, how many postcards is that? So we are going to have to figure out how many she received in those 3 months. We're going to multiply our first expression by this number 3. And I believe that gives us our equation, which is 3 plus 2 times 3 equals, and because we're doing postcards, let's make our variable P. To solve this, remember our first step, anything in parentheses comes first. 3 plus 2 is 5, and we are going to multiply that by 3. I believe our variable, if we multiply 5 times 3, our variable is P equals 15. And we don't have our label yet. What's our label? Again, what is our question? How many postcards is that? So it is 15 postcards. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've solved our first two-step word problem. Now let's do another one, and this time let's take all our steps one at a time. Okay, here we go. Again, before we even begin any of our steps, we always read the directions. The directions in this case are just the same. Write an equation and solve the problem. So we aren't simply just going to write a number, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to actually write two expressions in an equation and solve it. So here goes. Let's read the word problem before we even begin. We need to know what our word problem says. 9 hens laid 6 eggs. 5 of the eggs broke. How many eggs are left? Okay. Let's begin by, let me get a pen. Let's do red again because that really makes it nice and clear for us. Okay, let's circle our numbers. I see a 6 here. Oh, I see 2 numbers in word form. 9 and 5. Ooh. Okay, looks to me like we have all of our numbers, even if we had to dig them out of word form. Now we take step 2, which is to underline our question. Our question in this case is, how many eggs are left? Now let's take step 3, which is to box the keywords. So to box them, we want to make sure that we read the word problem one more time. 9 hens laid 6 eggs each. 5 of the eggs broke. How many eggs are left? There are 2 key words I see. Let's take a look. I think that one of the key words that we should circle or box up is each, because we need to know that 6 hens laid 6 eggs each. And then another one is we need to identify that 6 eggs broke. That's a key part of solving this equation. So let's go ahead and break it down. Let's go ahead and open up We're going to make this a little bit smaller so that we can solve it in the space we have. We have 9 hens that laid 6 eggs each. We know that each is a key to multiplication. So let's 9 multiplied by 6. That's the first expression in our 2-step word problem. Now, we also know that guess what happened? 5 eggs broke. So we're going to, out of our total, we're going to have to go ahead and subtract 5. So let's write into our second part of our equation, our second expression is to subtract 5. I believe we have our expression ready to be an equation. Now, because we're talking about eggs, let's go ahead and make our variable e. 9 times 6, subtract 5. Let's look one more time at our word problem and make sure that we have gotten all the information we need to answer the question, which is how many eggs are left. 9 hens laid 6 eggs each. 5 of the eggs broke. We have 9 times 6. That means how many they each laid. And then we are going to subtract 5 that broke. Let's go ahead and solve this equation now. 9 times 6 is 54. Now we subtract 5, and we have e, our variable, equals 49. What is our label? How many eggs are left? Our label is eggs. We have solved our second 2-step word problem. Let's review the steps one more time. These steps will help in any word problem, ladies and gentlemen. Again, remember, before we ever begin any of this, we start with reading the directions. Then we read the word problem, and then we take our steps. Step 1, circle the number in the problem, even if it's in word problem or word form and we need to dig it out a little. Step 2 is to underline our question. Step 3 is to box the keywords. And step 4 is to eliminate what you don't need. I believe we are now ready. I have 4 word problems for you to solve. Remember that you need to use your graphic organizer and take each step to solve these word problems. If you take and follow the directions, read the word problem, you may have to read it more than once to extract all the information you need to solve this equation. Remember, you're writing 2 expressions, and you are going to make sure that you identify the order of operations so that you can solve it correctly. So to review what we need tomorrow, please remember to bring your graphic organizer, and if you have any questions about any problems about your word problems and how you resolve them, please bring those to class tomorrow. You have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.